Hi, coaches. I'm back with a new coaching nugget. I hope you're ready. And today's nugget and sort of reflection that I want to share with you is, again, inspired by the type of questions I'm getting from fellow coaches in my supervision sessions. I personally find it really useful just to share real examples of questions that you can take to your own supervision spaces so that it just sort of normalizes the kind of issues you can voice and bring, kind of dilemmas that come up. So today I want to talk about the moments that so many coaches experience where it doesn't seem like the client is progressing well enough. You're wondering if there is something you're doing wrong as a coach because the client might be resisting, might be delaying action, might be saying they're going to do one thing before you see each other next, and then they don't do it. And that becomes some sort of pattern. And so as a result of it, as you're observing this behavior, you begin to wonder if your coaching is effective, whether it's working, what can you do as a coach here? And of course, it is useful to bring this into supervision to address the relationship that you have with your client and what might be going on there relationally. But there are also some things, practical things that you can implement straight away right now before you take this particular client relationship into supervision. So this video is not a substitute for supervision, but it will give you some practical ways of, inspiration, how to show up and what to say and what kind of questions to ask to make sure you kind of minimize those moments as well, but also feel more okay with them and know what to do. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Let me paint you the picture. Sometimes we start working with a new client who says all the right things. They seem really excited to be working together. They are ready to transform. And yet a few sessions in, we as coaches kind of begin to struggle to see the progress of our work together. As I said, it might look like a client resisting action. They might be saying, oh, I'm not that kind of person. I'm not that confident to do this. Or they might be, that's an interesting one. They sometimes bring seemingly different topics from one session to another, and we wonder how all of those things relate to their overarching goal. And sometimes it can look like, a client just entering the session saying, I don't know what I want to focus on today. And during those moments, we as coaches can feel almost that pressure that we need to help them decide or decide even for them, which is even worse. And, that can feel a little bit disoriented. So this is the situation. This is like me painting you the picture of what that might look like to bring theory to practice. So these moments can really feed our self-doubt as coaches. If there's a part of us that kind of questions certain things, experiences like this will sort of, highlight, our feelings about, the efficiency of certain coaching techniques. And so, this can really feed our self-doubt as a coach. It can make us worry about disappointing our clients, and it can leave us questioning ourselves and our competence. Why isn't my client taking action? Is my coaching even good enough? What do I even do in situations like this? So here's what I want to share first and foremost. The thing that coaches sometimes forget, and it's okay to forget it because, as human beings, that's what we do. We forget. We forget that before jumping in with new tools or action steps, we often need to remove something first. We need to make space for the new. And so here's my recommendation to you as an accredited supervisor who's been supporting fellow coaches for over 5 years. Here's what I would recommend. In your first coaching session with a new client or during recontracting process, if you've already started working with them and you're noticing this pattern and you're wondering, what do I do? You can have a recontracting conversation. Ask the following questions that I'm going to share with you now. 3 questions. The first one is, I'm just wondering, what are you willing to rearrange in your life to make space for this change? And what might need to be paused or released? And I wonder what one unhelpful behavior needs to be let go of, at least for the next 6 to 12 months. And just see what occurs. And it's almost like the same question, but just asked in 3 different ways, so that we just peel the layers and we get to, we do this deep work. And this is the kind of moment in your coaching conversation when you get really honest with your clients. This is where they can kind of reveal certain things that they know might get in the way, and perhaps even historically have gotten in their way before, and they know it. Maybe they say that they often say yes to the things that they secretly want to say no to. Maybe they say how they feel this self-expectation or pressure to do everything around the house like it's their job and they can't delegate it. So maybe they have issues with asking for help. They might name and reveal something like this. And this is where, your client is just getting very honest, first of all, with themselves, not even with you, because you're there for them to, just kind of journey and explore around what's going on for them. And as they are getting so honest and real and transparent about that, this is a good opportunity for you as a coach to reestablish or strengthen the psychological safety in the space. And first of all, just appreciate that they shared it with you, because it's not an easy thing to do, to be so open and vulnerable, especially if this is something that's happening in the very first coaching session that you have. And then you can ask those contracting questions, saying, okay, and as you're sharing this with me, I'm wondering if, as a coach, as we work together, I sense that behavior, that pattern might be coming up and might even in some way hinder your progress or get in the way of your actions. How would you like me to bring this up? How would you like me to raise your awareness around it? For example, whatever your words are. And then very often the client just say, oh, just like say it how it is. For example, clients might say, I prefer straight talking coaches. I prefer direct communication. I prefer, whatever is best for them, whatever is going to create that openness within them, so that you can share something in a very detached way and see how they relate to it. What's important for us coaches is to make sure that there is this openness within our clients, that they are receptive towards the not just reflections but also questions that we're asking them. And the thing is, this sounds like such a simple thing to do, just ask for permission. How can I bring this up if this shows up? But what it does, it establishes that safety around, it's on the table. There is this consent, and having this consent in place to go to those areas, to those questions, make sure that if and when you name it, I'm noticing that this pattern of struggling to say no when you struggling to say no, even though you secretly want to, I'm noticing that it might be showing up here a little bit. What are you noticing? So when you do share this eventually, the client is not going to feel judged. It's not going to put their defenses up, because the client has consented to this topic. And there is something about this consent that makes the space safer and actually also makes your coaching more trauma-informed. So all sorts of things can be revealed after asking those 3 questions, and prepare to be honest with your client as well. And you can also ask them, and how would you like to let me know that you're ready to talk about something or not ready to talk about something? So like establishing that, how can we be safe and yet courageous as we are going through this? We're doing this important work, this inner work for outer success. And you can remind your clients here that, I'm just here to reassure you that yes, coaching can feel uncomfortable. We are going to be doing some uncomfortable work, not because it's going to be against who you are or your moral compass, but because we're going to be doing something unfamiliar, because we're going to be thinking differently. And again, that's going to be new territory. And there's a part of you that might resist it at times, and it's okay. And it's okay. Coaching can be uncomfortable, but it is always safe. And how can we create a safe and courageous space where we can feel okay about where we are, and courageous and brave enough to move beyond that and create and become who we can become, So just again, this is where you get really honest with your clients, and where you normalize the fact that their environment needs to be rearranged to make space for something new, and that it's absolutely okay. That's not something that is unique to them or something that's bad. It's just part of the deal, because real change takes space, and often that space has to be created by letting go of old habits, beliefs, or priorities that keep the clients where they are, So one important thing for me to mention here is that this is the area where, without asking those questions, this is the area where many coaches unintentionally overfunction, because we try to carry the transformation for the client, especially when they don't make the space for the new, that maybe they don't allow fully the realization that something needs to be rearranged. So this is where we try and impress them with coaching questions or techniques, or designing new actions, and this is probably just not going to be working really well for you and your client. So this is where we try to carry the transformation for the client instead of helping them notice what needs to shift around them. So if this nugget resonates with you, please remember that coaching is shared responsibility. Your job is to hold the space. Their job is to step into it. So next time your client feels stuck, ask the questions that I shared with you above. I'm sure you'll be absolutely surprised how much clarity emerges from them and how much it can actually also inspire your clients to take action between sessions. And we know that that's important because transformation doesn't just happen in the coaching sessions, in the coaching room when you actually have a conversation with your client. Transformation happens in what clients do, choose, and practice between coaching sessions. More work needs to happen between coaching sessions. So it's not all on you, okay? So supervision actually is like one of the things that supervision really helps with is to help you feel steady, during those moments where, it feels a little bit wobbly and shaky, so that you can stay curious instead of self-critical, and so that you can meet your client where they are and not where you think they should be. All right, I'm going to wrap up this nugget here. If this was interesting, give me the thumbs up. And if you're interested to explore the supervision support with me, I've just opened the waitlist to my group supervision program. This is my most favorite offer, to be honest. This is where you get to grow alongside a number of trained, like-minded, committed coaches who want to have those safe and courageous spaces where they can unpack client cases in the professional setup, but also like with lots of empathy and compassion, with lots of practical tools, with lots of wisdom and collective wisdom that you get to experience there as well. I've just opened the waitlist, and I think it's going to be open for a couple of weeks. Joining doesn't commit you to anything, but it does give you access to the best price. So consider if this speaks to you. Reach out to me if you have any questions, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.